From players making horrible mistakes to referees messing up big time, these are the NBA's greatest controversies. And first is the Kyrie Irving fiasco. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Which one? Well, I don't blame you for asking that, since Kyrie's basically a walking controversy at this point. But I'm talking about when Kyrie found himself being accused of being anti-Semitic. Irving made a terrible mistake when he took to Twitter towards the end of October 2022 and shared a link to a documentary full of anti-Semitic themes. The themes included Holocaust denial and claims of an international Jewish conspiracy. And along with the link, he stated that history must not be hidden from anybody. This caused an insane amount of backlash, and even that's putting it lightly. To make matters worse, he refused to apologize straight away and instead doubled down on his comments at first. He said that by sharing the tweet, he didn't do anything illegal, nor did he hurt anybody or say that he specifically hates one group of people. Afterward, Kyrie also posted on Twitter that he's an omnist, so he supports all religions, and even added that the anti-Semitic label isn't justified. But despite all that, Irving's actions disappointed everyone, so the team suspended Kyrie without pay on the 3rd of November 2022 for a minimum of 5 games. Then Nike announced that they would also suspend Irving, and in December 2022, they officially cut ties with each other for good.
NBA star Kyrie Irving, the former Cavs, now Brooklyn Nets member, was suspended for 5 games after tweeting a link to an anti-Semitic film and then repeatedly refusing to apologize. Now,
though as bad as this was, there was an even more controversial moment that came earlier in 2022. Yep, I'm talking about the Ime Udoka scandal. Following the 2022 NBA season, Udoka became one of the most beloved coaches in the league. But then, disaster struck as he found himself taking the NBA world by storm for all the wrong reasons. Ime proved to everyone that he was one of the scummiest dudes in the league. After all, he was in a relationship with Nia Long for 13 years, of which they were engaged for 7 of them.
Welcome to Boston. This is your first ever head coaching position.
The relationships within the organization, but then obviously the roster. And then for a first-time head coach. Well, the conversations I had with Brad initially, they went very well. I felt like we were in alignment.
Yet, he cheated on her with a female Celtics staff member who was, of course, in a subordinate position. And to make matters worse, everyone soon found out that Ime made several unwanted romantic advances towards the woman. Plus, he even used crude language with her. What's more, the power dynamic of the whole situation just made Udoka look like an even worse person. In the end, Boston handed him a 1-year suspension, which included a cut in his pay. Though it's not only the players and coaches who can cause controversies, the refs can too. I mean, just look at the officiating in the 2002 Western Conference Finals. This was arguably one of the most controversial series of all time, and things were especially out of hand in Game 6. The Kings enjoyed a 3-2 lead over the Lakers and were on the verge of making it to the finals for the first time since 1951. But conspiracy theorists have always said that the NBA wanted the series to be extended to 7 games, since viewership numbers were at an all-time high. And considering what went down in Game 6, I don't think that's very unlikely. Not only did the Lakers get to shoot 40 free throws compared to Sacramento's 25, but most of the fouls called on the Kings made absolutely no sense. And to make matters worse, the refs ignored blatant fouls by the Lakers, such as Kobe nailing Mike Bibby in the face with his elbow. It was one of the most unfortunate things for everyone to witness.
And there was, they made these in the 17s for me, and I don't have much of them because we were only there for a couple weeks doing the.
Look at all these boxes of shoes. You got them jerseys.
I laid out some football, some Hall of Fame football.
NBA Showtime.
Yeah.
Except for Lakers fans, of course. Though 4 years later, fans were treated to yet another example of some of the most controversial officiating ever. Yep, you guessed it. I'm talking about the 2006 NBA Finals. Some say that this was one of the worst officiated series of all time because it looked like the refs were desperate to hand Miami the championship.
On Miami, Caruso to James. James gets fouled, still gets the shot off as they grab.
And he just runs, and unfortunately for the Lakers, Caruso shows his versatility as a roller.
Free throw from James is good.
Dwayne Wade shot 97 free throws throughout the series, and in Game 5 alone, he shot 25, the same amount as the entire Mavs team.
Dwayne from the corner, kaboom! Wade's last game of his career. Shoots the jumper. Perfect handoff!
Through. Get really coming into his own.
Locates the defense in Allen and hits the reverse on the big man.
As with the previous entry on this list, the calls were just atrocious and made zero sense. But what makes this series rank ahead of the Kings series is the fact the horrendous officiating continued for 4 straight games. Sure, 2002 was bad, and the Kings deserved better, but at least it was just 1 game. In this case, it was just 4 nights full of phantom calls, and in the NBA Finals no less. The refs literally robbed Dirk and the Mavs of a title. Thankfully though, Nowitzki and his squad got their revenge on the Heat in the 2011 NBA Finals. So far, I've talked about players, coaches, and refs messing up, but team owners have as well. After all, I can't forget about the Donald Sterling scandal. Sterling was the former Clippers owner, and back in 2014, TMZ exposed him for being a massive racist. TMZ leaked an audio recording in which he can be heard telling his mistress to stop attending Clippers games with black NBA fans. This rightfully caused an uproar, and it presented Adam Silver with his first challenge. He acted fast and banned Sterling from the NBA, while also hitting him with a $2.5 million fine. Fast forward 8 years later, and yet another owner was exposed for being a horrible person, and it's none other than Robert Sarver. On the 13th of September 2022, the NBA suspended Sarver, the former owner of the Suns. Silver took the decision following an investigation that exposed Robert as being a racist, sexist harasser. The NBA also hit him with a $10 million fine, the biggest fine in league history. Sarver's suspension will last for a year, and he's been banned from all NBA and WNBA buildings. The lawyers carrying out the investigation found that on at least 5 occasions, Sarver said the N-word when recounting the statements of others. On top of that, he didn't treat female employees fairly, while also making various inappropriate comments related to sex and their physical appearance. As per the report, he's had a very long history of making such remarks about women, leaving them feeling offended and objectified. Unfortunately, that's not all. It was also found that Sarver was unkind to his employees, and he often bullied them to the point that they were in tears. It's safe to say that every NBA fan's sickened by his words and actions, so they're glad that action is being taken against him. But at the same time, many people believe that he should have been given the Donald Sterling treatment and be banned from the NBA for life. Though as bad as all these controversies were, the greatest one to this date involves a referee that all NBA fans know of. I'm talking about Tim Donaghy. This was one of the wildest and most shocking scandals ever. Tim was a seasoned NBA official, but in 2007, he was busted for gambling on games. And you know what that means? He was literally rigging games to change their outcomes so that he won those bets. Plus, it was also found out that he was using his knowledge of other refs' biases against players and coaches to ensure that he won those bets. And as if all that wasn't enough, he was working for the mafia while doing all of that. Once he was caught, he said that nearly all NBA officials betted on games. And he even stated that it was true that the NBA uses poor officiating to extend playoff series, which draw high viewership numbers. Fans went wild, but at the end of the day, they were disappointed but not surprised. And ever since this, fans now automatically think refs are guilty of gambling when they make horrendous calls. So from Kyrie and Ime messing up to refs and owners doing the unthinkable, these were the NBA's greatest controversies. See you in the next video.